Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we are going to learn something about a data structure which is called as tuple. So tuples are nothing but they are actually similar to list, but the thing is that tuples are actually immutable. And what I mean by immutable is that you actually cannot change the values which are stored in tuple. So if you talk about list, a list is nothing but it is a collection of some things, let it be name, fruits, foods, or anything like that. Now in list, what used to happen is that you could actually make a list and then you were actually able to replace or change some items in the list by using the index. But in case of tuples, as tuples are immutable, we actually cannot replace the values once they are stored in that particular tuple. And also the syntax for writing tuples is a little bit different. So in this lecture, we are quickly going to go through the concept of tuples. We are going to create a tuple. We are going to print out the values in the tuple, and we are going to see how to write the syntax for it. So let's directly jump into the lecture. So in order to create a tuple, you simply need to define the name as you have defined the name for a list. So we are going to save the data related to fruits as we do in this entire series. So we simply type in fruits and then give a equal to sign, and in case of list we had these square brackets, but we are going to have normal parentheses right here in case of tuples. So whenever you need to define tuples to distinguish between a list and a tuple, you use parentheses in case of tuples. So let's go ahead and define our first item as apple, give a comma. Let's define the next item as mango, give a comma, and let's define the third item as peach. So once you have items defined in your tuple, you could simply go ahead and print out the tuple which is fruits, and it is simply going to give you the output as the tuple which has apple, mango, and peach. Now also you could define the index for each and everything. So let's say if you want to display the item stored at the 0th index, you could define 0 here, and if you print out, you will get apples over here. And now one thing which you cannot do with tuples is that, as I mentioned, tuples are immutable, that is the value stored in the tuples cannot be changed. You cannot change the value of any fruit right over here. So if you actually say that fruits of 0, and if you try to assign a value of, let's say, some other fruit like pineapple, so if you save the code and if you try to run it, as you could see, you are going to get an error because in tuples you actually cannot reassign a value. So that's why we say that tuples are actually immutable. And one more special thing about tuples is that you could also go ahead and define a tuple without using these brackets. So if you actually remove these brackets, you are not going to have any error, and still your code is going to run in a correct manner. So if you save the code and if you try to run this, as you could see, still you get the value of apple over here in your out. So that was a quick intro about what tuples are and how tuples are actually created and why tuples are called immutable objects. So they are called as immutable because once you have assigned the values to tuple, you cannot actually go ahead and change those values. So thank you very much for watching this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.